The Candle and the Currency: How the Global Monetary System is Burning Out. 1. Introduction. For decades, the global financial system has operated under a predictable cycle. The United States runs persistent trade deficits, foreign exporters accumulate dollars, and those dollars are recycled into US Treasuries to earn a yield. This structure has ensured the USD's dominance as the world's reserve currency. However, just as a candle must burn efficiently to sustain its flame, the current global economic model is beginning to sputter. Excessive U.S. debt, shifting trade dynamics, and accelerating de-dollarization are disrupting the balance, leading to a slow but inevitable transformation of the global monetary order. 2. The candle mechanism as a model for global trade. To understand why the system is breaking down, we can liken it to the mechanics of a burning candle. Wax fuel, global exports, U.S. trade deficit; vaporized gas equals trade surpluses, recycled into U.S. Treasuries. Flame equals yield on Treasuries, which is the goal of all nation-states. Oxygen, USD, the liquidity that sustains the system. Wick, the U.S. financial system. The wick regulates the flow of capital, trade, debt, and treasuries, controlling how much fuel, trade surpluses, is vaporized, and ensuring that the system doesn't burn too hot or too inefficiently. The U.S. financial system is the mechanism that tries to maintain balance between deficits, yield, and liquidity. In a stable system, the wax fuel melts at a steady rate, vaporizes, and sustains the flame yield. However, if too much wax pools at the base, excessive debt and trade imbalances, or if the oxygen supply, USD circulation, is constricted via tariffs and monetary tightening, the flame starts to flicker and the system breaks down. Today, we are witnessing these very distortions, pushing nations to seek alternatives. 3. The structural breakdown: Why the system is burning inefficiently. The post-World War II economic model relied on the U.S. being large enough to absorb global trade surpluses and efficiently recycle them into yield-bearing treasuries. However, the system has become unsustainable due to several key factors. The U.S. is no longer dominant enough to absorb global trade surpluses. It now accounts for only 25% of global GDP, far less than in the post-war era. Excessive U.S. debt to GDP, too much wax is pooling, meaning that U.S. spending and deficits are no longer being efficiently converted into trade surpluses and reinvested into treasuries. Tariffs and USD weaponization are accelerating de-dollarization. Restricting USD flows, oxygen, leads nations to seek alternatives, disrupting the cycle of treasury purchases. A global search for alternative yield sources. With the U.S. struggling to sustain the old model, countries are looking elsewhere for stores of value. 4. The feedback loop, leading to de-dollarization. As the current system fails to sustain itself, a growing number of countries are shifting away from USD-based trade. Key developments include BRICS and other emerging markets increasingly settling trade in local currencies, central banks buying gold at record levels, signaling a hedging strategy against USD instability. Bitcoin and commodities, oil, copper, rare earths, emerging as alternative stores of value. Forex instability and declining faith in fiat currencies, accelerating the diversification away from USD-denominated assets. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. 5. The implications of the USD losing dominance. With the USD's grip on global finance weakening, the following outcomes become increasingly likely. Debt crisis or forced monetary reset. The U.S. must choose between allowing higher yields, which risks a debt crisis, printing money to cover obligations, which risks hyperinflation, a multipolar financial system, fragmentation of trade into multiple regional systems where no single currency dominates. U.S. economic reorientation, a forced shift toward reindustrialization, reshoring, and increased automation. 6. Mitigation strategies, how the U.S. might manage the transition. While the transition is inevitable, certain policies may help soften the impact. Gradual inflation as a stealth devaluation, allowing controlled inflation, 4 to 6%, to erode real debt burdens without triggering market panic. Controlled debt monetization, YCC and Treasury buybacks, the Fed absorbing long-term treasuries to cap yields while avoiding extreme liquidity injections. Reindustrialization and reshoring efforts, bringing critical industries, semiconductors, energy, defense, back to U.S. soil to reduce import dependence. Leveraging gold reserves and digital assets, the U.S. could revalue gold or introduce a digital dollar to maintain financial leverage in a shifting landscape. 7. Conclusion: the inevitable shift to a new monetary order. The post-World War II financial system is burning out. While the U.S. may attempt to slow the process, the trajectory is set. Whether this transition is controlled or chaotic depends on how effectively policymakers navigate the shift. Hard assets, gold, Bitcoin, and commodities, will play an increasingly central role as the global system realigns. In the end, the real question is no longer if this shift will happen, but rather how fast and how disruptive it will be.